Hello, welcome to Hook Legends and thanks for watching this video. Today's video, I want to do a how-to video on how to rig a slip bobber. For those of you who watch my videos, you know I fish with slip bobbers a lot. Slip bobbers and jigs. Usually I'm doing one of those two things. So I want to show you how to rig the slip bobber and maybe talk a little bit about the situations and the advantages of using it versus using some of the other methods. So first I just want to show you one from a distance. I tend to use a Shimano X1000 reel, probably spooled with 6 or 8 pound test line. This particular one here looks like it has 8 pound test line on it. I also use a Shakespeare Durango rod. Now this particular rod is a medium action, 6 foot long. Great rod, I love it. I have several of them. Durango has started making these in some colors, orange, fluorescent blue, light or real bright blue, those colors. Really, I like this old gray one. I advise you, this is a good rod to have for beginning out crappie fishing with slip bobbers. So that's the equipment. So this is what I like, and this is what we're going to rig the slip bobber. Now if you look at this slip bobber, you can see it. The reason they call it a slip bobber is because it slides up and down the line. And let's see, I might be able to get, and I'm going to show you the different components, but I want to show you the components first on here. First thing you see, I have there's a bead up here, and I actually have 2 beads on mine. And then you run your line down through these little black stoppers in each bobber. Now when you're buying these bobbers, some of these bobbers, they right here in the middle, for some reason they're stopped up. The one I'm going to demo today was actually stopped up, and I keep a piece of wire in the boat so I can just stick through it and knock it out, so the line will go all the way through it. Now I use another bead and a bobber below the bobber here. That's not required. It's something that I do, and I'll tell you in a minute why I do that. Then you get to the lead. The lead is what pulls the line down through the bobber, and of course down here on the very bottom you have your hook. The reason I use a bobber stop, as you can see in this example, there's a little bit of room here from where my bobber is down to my lid. I don't like my bobber sitting directly on the weight down here, so I put in a bobber stop underneath it. It gives me a little bit more room there. Not required, just something I do sometimes when I'm rigging a rod. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the different pieces that make up a slip bobber rig. First component, bobber. And as you can see, these little black stops right here, see that? They plug in there. Well, you really only need one. My preference, I like to put 2. I like that super smoothness sliding up and down the line, but you really only need one. Another component are these little rubber stops. These fit on your line. Now I buy mine from Bass Pro Shop. There's a lot of different varieties and types of bobber stoppers out there. My preference are these little rubber pieces, and I hope you can see it, but there's little wire guides with eyes in them. It's kind of like threading a sewing needle. You stick the line through there and thread it, hold it double, and then you slide these off onto your fishing line. So, and I'm going to demo that in just a minute. You have the little bead, and the little bead is what sits in between your bobber stopper and your bobber, and it makes sure that the rubber doesn't get caught up in the end of the cork. It just makes it help slide it smoother. Keep some separation between the bobber and the rubber bobber stopper. The next component is weight or lead. Now instead of having 4 or 5 pieces of small lead, it's been my experience that when you're throwing them out, especially in winter conditions, they kind of get tangled up and tied up. My preference is 1 piece of split shot lead large enough to pull the cork at least halfway down. You want a piece that's big enough so the cork's not sticking way up in the air. The further up in the air it's hanging, the more pressure it's going to take from the fish underneath to pull it under. I don't like for them to feel any resistance at all, so I make sure I get a piece so that my bobber is at least half of it is sticking up to there. On some of mine, only 1/4 of my bobber is actually sticking up in the air. So, you know, finicky fish may feel that resistance and just give up on the bite. So now the next phase, I want to actually go through and tie up one of these rigs so you can see it. So the first step, remember, is we're going to tie the bobber. We're going to tie the line on the rubber stop. Okay, here's the line. Here's the rubber stop with a little wire guide. And I'm simply just going to put it through there, double over maybe 6 inches or so of line. You see that? And then I'm just going to slide this across those double layers of line until it's all the way through. See that? That's how you're gonna start setting up this rig. The next thing you want to do, you want to take this little red bead, and you can buy these, the beads and the rubber stoppers at Bass Pro, Academy, Walmart. You can pretty much get these from everywhere. So I'm going to thread the little bead onto the fishing line. Okay, that goes right up next to my bobber. So next I'm going to take my bobber stop, the little black plastic thing that goes inside of the bobber, and I'm going to thread that onto my guide and onto my fishing line. And then I'm going to go ahead, now this particular bobber that I'm using, it has a slit in the side, so I can just really insert my line into that slit, and this bobber is pretty much ready to go. Make sure, yep, sliding perfectly. And then I'm going to take this end, the black stop, and put it down in there. Now this little black thing has a hole in it. It has a hole there in the dead center, so it can still slide up and down. And then once again, I like to use another one of these in the bottom. When you purchase these corks, I've seen some that have them already in the bottom of the bobber when you buy it, the cork I call them, and it just sticks up in there. Then as you can see, it slides up and down. Okay, and in this particular case, since this is just for demo, I'm not going to put a bobber stopper below, but normally I would. So now we're going to go in and we're going to actually tie the hook. As you can see, there's different size hook. It's a matter of preference whether you use a smaller one or the larger panfish crappie hooks. And my favorite since I've been tying them, it was the first one I learned when I was a kid, I guess, was this tri-link knot. So I'm going to tie this with a tri-link knot, and I'll be doing some more videos later on knots. You want to make sure you learn how to tie a good knot. There's nothing more disappointing than losing a nice quality fish and you pull it and you see the little curly things on the end. That means it pulled loose. Your knot didn't hold. Not a good situation to lose a fish. So the next thing I need to do is to put on the weight. So let me grab my pliers here. That one's not holding. Okay, that's good enough for demonstration purposes. You can see I put my little split shot on the line, and there's the hook. So this is pretty much our slip bobber rig. See if I can show you here. And as you can see how it slides from one end to the other. So now one of the great things I like about this, if I need to fish a little bit deeper, I just take this little rubber stop and I pull it up, and then it's going to allow it to go a little bit. It's going to allow it to go a little bit deeper. So I like the slip bobber rig because when you're sitting down, and if you, let's say you're fishing 6 feet deep and you're fishing with a fixed bobber and you got it hanging 6 feet down, if you're sitting down, 6 feet is going to be dragging the floor. You're going to snag it on the boat, you're going to snag it on people, you're going to snag it on things. This way, you're fishing 6 feet deep, you can take this, and when you wind it in, that little rubber stopper is all the way back halfway up your rod. And it's going to, when you throw it out, it's going to go out through your guides. But when this bobber slides down, when it gets to this little rubber stop, see, it can't go any further. So I really like this rig, especially when I'm fishing in vegetation, weeds, pads, brush, because you can throw it out there, and when you're about to get hung up, when you're retrieving it in, give it a quick jerk and start winding, it'll lift it up so it'll ride above those weeds if you keep winding it very fast. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, and click the notification bell so you will be alerted when future videos are released. Thanks for watching, Hook Legends.